want to start the new year strong, but let's skip the cliches. This is not going to be one of those videos about drinking more water and decluttering your closet. Obviously nothing wrong with that. It is solid advice, but you've heard it a million times before. These are 5 uncommon but impactful things that you can do even right now to kickstart the new year so that you can start into January with purpose and intention and clarity. And I'm going to take this off now because the little jingly bell is really annoying me and I did not factor that in, but let's go. Hey, how's it going? It's Laura, and let's face it, most people are going to set goals or resolutions, but very often they're either things that they have already set in the past and they're still trying to do, or they're things that require a huge amount of effort. Let's do things a little differently for the new year. Plan a firsts day. So dedicate one day in January where you are going to try as many firsts, as many new things as possible. Maybe you visit a new park or a cafe for the first time. Maybe you bake or cook a new recipe. You might decide to tackle a skill for the first time, something that you've been meaning to try out, or maybe it will be your first time, getting a handle on a new interesting hobby. What is something you would like to try for the first time? Now, if you're anxious about starting something completely new, keep it small. Maybe you just try a different route to work, or maybe you order a different meal or a different coffee than you normally would. Even teeny tiny firsts can have a big impact. The beauty of this is that it's not about mastery or perfection or really achieving anything. It's simply allowing yourself to be a beginner, allowing yourself to just try something new and get comfortable with novelty. There's no pressure to, get it right, or to have it be perfect, or to have it work out a certain way, or to achieve anything other than just giving something a try. And if you try it, you like it, you build momentum, and you want to keep going, that's a bonus. Trying new things though is very low stakes. It's low pressure. It can create a lot of energy as well. It can spark your creativity, and it can remind you that the year is full of possibilities. So try a firsts day in January, and maybe you'll love it so much that you'll want to do one every month. The next one is for anyone who struggles with feeling like they never get enough done. Like, that was me a few years ago. I would get to the end of a year, I would look back and I would think, wow, really wasted that one. Until I basically started creating a reverse to-do list. Some people call it a to-da list. Some people call it a done list. But every day in my digital planner, I jot down what I'm working on, things that are happening that day, any random thoughts I have. It's actually a really lovely time capsule of what life is like right now. I really love looking back over previous years. Sometimes you find an old journal and you read it, and okay, first of all is the cringe, but then second is like, oh yeah, I remember having that friend in school, or going on that trip, or listening to that song on repeat. It's really lovely. But one of the biggest ways it has actually helped me, keeping this kind of log, this journal, is that it helps me see how much I actually get done. Sometimes we tend to just kind of like blur everything together. Everything just lumps into one. Or as the year goes on, we naturally just start to forget things that happened at the beginning of the year. I am a terror for that. I have a terrible memory. So I, get to a year, the end of a year, and I look back over my journal entries and I think like, wow, yeah, I completely forgot that I had done that thing, or I had worked on that project, or I had gone to that place, or met up with that person. So it's really lovely in that way. It really reminds me, it's a record essentially of everything I did that year. So whereas before I used to think I had wasted a year, hadn't really achieved anything, now that I've started writing these things down, it's helped me to see and appreciate how full and satisfying my life is. And you can do this in any notebook or planner. It doesn't specifically have to be mine. I will link it if you're interested, but honestly, any will do. But at the end of each day, or even just as you're going throughout your day, jot down at least one thing that you did that you're proud of, no matter how small it is. So maybe you cooked dinner for yourself. That's a big one for me. I hate cooking. So cooking a meal is always a big one for me. Maybe you cleaned up a corner of your desk that was driving you crazy. You know, there was a bit of a pile there. There always seems to be a bit of a pile on my desk, just somewhere. But yeah, maybe you cleaned that up. That's something you could write down. Maybe you put away the pile of clothes that's been sitting there for a week. Laundry is another big win for me, at least. But by the end of a month, never mind a full year, you're going to have a list of things that you have accomplished. A list that proves that you are making progress. And that confidence boost is going to carry you forward. So I do a monthly reflection on the last day of every month, and the first thing I do as part of it is to list down all of the things that went well that month. So I review all of my daily entries. It's actually one of the biggest reasons why I have a highlights section on the daily pages in the planner. I flick back through all of those and I can see, you know, what I did, what was great, what brought me joy, what made me happy. I cannot tell you how much of a boost it is to just see that list grow, to get to the end of a month. You know, if I were to just think back, and that's the first thing I do, I think back and I jot down kind of like the things that come to mind first, and there might be a handful of them, but then as I actually review my daily pages, the list gets longer and longer. But having this kind of like reverse to-do list has taken me from someone who felt like they never really got much done, never really achieved anything, to seeing and acknowledging how much I get done and really taking time to celebrate that, no matter how big or small the win was. Now, another thing I do on a regular basis that has made a big difference to my life is regular reset days. This is when I take some time to keep on top of those routine tasks. So keeping up with my financial spreadsheets, you know, updating those so that come tax season, I am prepared. It's things like catching up on laundry. I do these on a weekly, monthly, and quarterly basis. And obviously each list looks a little different. You know, some things need to be done weekly, other things can be pushed out to quarterly. But the overarching idea is that I use those days to catch up on things or keep on top of things that might otherwise fall through the cracks. It means that those tasks stay manageable and they don't get out of hand. But while I find that really helpful, one of the biggest benefits that I did not foresee was how much mental headspace it frees up. You know, not having a specific day for doing those things means that I free up time during the week where I don't have to think about it. So let's say previously I would have spent all week trying to remind myself, you know, it would pop into my head every now and again, oh, remember to water the plants. Whereas now it's on my reset list. I don't have to think about it because I know there's a specific day for doing it. Or things like catching up with laundry, like that doesn't just get put off and off and off until it's a big problem. No, I have a specific day for doing that. So not only am I staying on top of things by having a specific reset day, but I'm not having to constantly think about them and give my mental energy to that when it would be much better spent on something else. What is one of those tasks for you, one of those routine tasks that you would love to be able to do on a regular basis so that it doesn't get overwhelming and so you don't have to constantly think about it or constantly try to remind yourself? I would recommend starting by just brainstorming a quick list of those routine or maintenance tasks that you would like to get done on a regular basis, and think about how often you feel you would need to tend to them. Then you just set aside that time on a weekly or monthly basis and you knock them all out in one go, or at least as many as you can. And a little tip for you here is that you don't necessarily have to do the things that are on the list. It's simply a reminder to check whether or not they need to be done, or maybe they can be pushed off to the next reset day. So for example, one of the things on my monthly reset list is to top up toiletries around the house, so hand soaps, detergents, things like that. But if I see one that is still more than half full, I don't waste time topping it up just for the sake of it, because I know it's going to get us through the next month. Now, if you feel like a reset day is something that you would like to try in the new year, I do have a free downloadable checklist that includes sample weekly, monthly, and quarterly lists to kind of give you an idea of the types of things that you could achieve, and then also blank templates where you can start to build out your own reset routine, like whatever works best for you. It has helped so many people stay consistent, stay organized, including myself. I literally use it every single week. So yeah, I have packed it with ideas to help kickstart your reset routine. You don't have to do the things that I suggest, but it's just a good kind of jumping off point, something to give you some food for thought. I'll link it below if you want to grab it before the new year rush. Really great for helping you stay on top of things. Speaking of a monthly reset, one of the things on my list is to work on and hopefully complete a project or a goal that I have. It's usually something that I've been putting off, so this is my chance to suck it up and get it done, and I always feel the better for it. So a great way to kickstart your new year would be by scheduling a stretch goal weekend. Choose a weekend or just an afternoon maybe to start off with, and focus your time and energy on trying to complete or at least make solid progress on a goal that you have. Maybe it's something that you've been putting off, but something that you want to really take a good chunk out of. Something that's a bit of a stretch, but not impossible to knock out if you knuckle down and really focus on it for that scheduled time. It could be, decluttering a space that's been bothering you. It could be booking a whole bunch of appointments, important appointments. Could be tackling a creative project like finishing up a jigsaw puzzle or finishing that scarf that you have been knitting. It could be a bunch of small little things like doing all of those tiny DIY jobs around the house. One of my recent goals was to tackle the sewing pile that had built up. So I grabbed the sewing kit, I grabbed the pile of clothes that needed repairing, I popped on a TV show, I nearly knocked an ornament off the tree, and I just got it done. Well, I didn't get all of it done. I did run out of steam, but it was a large pile of clothes, okay? But I got about 90% of it done, and it felt great. The big secret to this is that you have a clear boundary. It's clearly defined in terms of time. It is a weekend only project, or it is an end of month only project. So like with the reset list, you don't feel overwhelmed by it all month long. It's not constantly nagging away at you. Instead, it feels contained and it feels manageable. And even if you don't finish it, you will still make solid progress, and that in and of itself is a success. Can't tell if my camera is blurry or just my eyes are blurry because I'm old. I look blurry on the screen, but I think it's just my eyesight. It was indeed the camera, but I didn't realize that until after I had already finished recording the video. So I didn't notice until I started going through the footage. So this is take 2. Now, we've already talked about all of the amazing things you can do, but one of the biggest hidden dangers of setting goals, setting resolutions, and we all get sucked into it, is adding more to our plate. We want to do this, we want to go there, we want to achieve XYZ. But with all of that addition, we forget that we need to subtract something. Your life is already full. If you want to add something else, first you need to take something away. Or maybe you don't even want to add anything else to your life. Maybe you're just like, no thank you. And you just want to create some space. So for the new year, write a no list. We've talked about to-do lists, we've talked about to-da lists. This is a don't do list. It is a not today, Satan list. Set clear boundaries about what you will no longer accept. The things that you are no longer going to give your energy to, the things you're no longer going to give your time or effort to. So maybe you'll stop overcommitting to things that you don't care about. Maybe you'll stop pouring energy into relationships that are really just a one-way street. Or maybe you will say no to saying yes just out of pure guilt. Let me give you a silly example of something that I am saying no to. cooking a meal, cooking dinner more than one time a week. I hate cooking, you know, and I kind of just always sucked it up and did it because I figured that's what you're supposed to do as a grown up. But now that I'm 40, I realize if I don't want to do something, I don't have to do it. I just don't. There are plenty of other options out there. So I spoke to my husband. He's a much better cook than I am. He hates it a lot less than I do. So I am going to cook one night a week, and that is to, I still want to be able to contribute. I still want to take some of the pressure off him, but he is going to cook for 2 or 3 of the other nights, and then we can do leftovers or just pull something quick out of the freezer, or maybe order or go out for dinner, although we don't use those options very regularly at all. But anyway, cooking more than one dinner a week is on my no list for the new year. What will be on yours? Also consider posting your list somewhere where you will see it on a regular basis. So maybe you tape it to your fridge, or tape it? Who tapes things to their fridge? You stick it on your fridge with a magnet, like a normal person, or you hang it above your desk, or you write it in your planner, somewhere where it will serve as a gentle, regular reminder of what you are saying no to, so that you can say yes to better things. And don't worry if you're not great at this immediately. You know, sometimes learning to say no, building a strong boundary and actually communicating that and enforcing it, that can be tough. It may not come naturally to you. It certainly does not come naturally to me, but the more you do it, the easier it will get. And then the more your life will open up to new possibilities and adventures. It can only be a year of big yeses if you first say a few no's. Which of these will you try first? I would love to know which win you are going to kickstart the new year with. And if you're trying the reset days, make sure that you download my free checklist so you're not starting from scratch. I have done a lot of the legwork for you. And if you want to start with an overall life reset, then I have a great free series from a few years ago that talks about how to get a fresh start for the new year. It is everything from organizing your home to sorting out your mindset to re-evaluating your closet and your style. Great all-rounder to get you started on the right foot. Until then, gur have míle maith agaibh. Agus feici mé sibh go luath. Slán!